How's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest gaming news, rumors, and speculation. Today's video is a bit of a follow-up to yesterday's upload as, in case you missed it, there is a new huge rumor going around suggesting Bethesda may be opening up a new game dev studio location, a studio that focuses entirely on remakes and remasters. If you haven't seen my video yesterday, I highly suggest you check it out before continuing on with this upload. Today, though, I want to talk about how possible a remaster or even a remake of Oblivion and Morrowind would be on both a technical level as well as considering other supporting factors. On top of this, I'll also explain what the actual difference is between a remaster and a remake according to the opinion majority of the gaming industry. And while no doubt there are multiple amazing candidates to be remastered from all the various Bethesda Softworks studios, the reason I'm focusing on both Morrowind and Oblivion in this video is because by far those two games are what is listed the most and what the community seems to want remastered the most, just based upon recent comments and replies to my videos here on the channel as well as my posts over on Twitter. Now first off, what is the actual difference between a remake and a remaster? The definition that the majority of the gaming industry seems to agree on is as follows. A remaster is a game that remains the same game at its core, but has substantial upgrades to the game engine and its in-game assets, such as the game art, character models, physics, and so on. Games like Zelda Wind Waker HD, for example. One of the main aspects of a remaster is that there is indeed original code from the original game in the remastered version. If the game was entirely rebuilt from scratch though, basically having none of the original code from the original game, then it is indeed a remake, no matter how much new content was added into the game or not. So clearly remakes take a lot more time, effort, a larger budget, and so on. So with all this in mind, which of the two would Bethesda choose for Oblivion or Morrowind? Well, that would actually depend on a few key factors. The first of which is the upgrade accessibility of Creation Engine 2, which is the new Bethesda Game Studios game engine, and the largest game engine upgrade and overhaul Bethesda Game Studios has ever undertaken to date. Yes, there is original Creation Engine code in Creation Engine 2, but that is actually the norm of the gaming industry, despite what a lot of clickbait or ignorant comments will tell you. This isn't just the first Creation Engine, this is a huge, massive upgrade, and the biggest one Bethesda has done, as Todd Howard literally said. Even Unreal 5, which is an amazing engine, for example, still has some original code going as far back as the first Unreal Engine, so no doubt Creation Engine 2 will be a huge, true next-gen Bethesda Game Studios game engine, but how accessible will it be for games built on the first Creation Engine? And that exactly is the main defining factor in my opinion, because if Bethesda can import code from the original Oblivion and Morrowind into Creation Engine 2, that would give them a huge step up in making the remaster even possible in the first place. If they can't do that, then a remaster seems pretty much impossible at this point, as using the original code from the original game is literally what defines a remaster. If that's not possible, or if it would take just basically as much work to do as remaking the entire game from scratch anyway, then that would mean Todd Howard and friends would have to go the route of the remake, remaking Oblivion and Morrowind entirely from scratch, which is just nuts to basically think about. That's like just making an entire new game, basically. And if that was indeed the case, that would severely diminish the chances of any of this happening, in my opinion, as that would require Bethesda Game Studios to divert the staff, resources, and a huge chunk of time from an entire dev studio location just for one remake alone, a process that would take between 2 to 5 years, and a process that would also be quite expensive to fund, as Morrowind and Oblivion are very, very large games with a ton of content, even for how old they are now. Remaking either one of those games from scratch would be a huge undertaking to do correctly, as they'd have to remake every NPC from scratch basically, every dungeon, every terrain art asset, all the quests, every line of code from scratch. It would just take so much time, work, and money to even remaster Oblivion alone, and that doesn't even take into consideration how much time it would take for Morrowind also. It would just take so much time, money, and effort that I basically can guarantee Bethesda most likely wouldn't even consider doing any of this. Their standard games alone take a lot of time and effort and money to develop, and we already know the community already complains how long it takes them to make one game. Imagine how long it would take to get like Fallout 5 or The Elder Scrolls 6 if they added a remake of Oblivion or Morrowind or Fallout 3 into that. Well, the majority of the gaming community would probably still be happy about it. It would just cause so much friction that they would basically have to have an entire new studio for this. But again, this is a different ecosystem for Bethesda now, with Microsoft's assets, resources, and $7.6 billion, and maybe also with just a little bit of that Phil Spencer convincing, I could totally see Bethesda actually considering to remake Oblivion and Morrowind Morrowind from scratch, especially if Microsoft also floats the entire bill for a new Bethesda studio that focuses entirely on remakes and remasters. If Bethesda didn't have to spend any money on the remakes, and if they didn't have to delegate any of their time or existing staff on any of these remakes or remasters either, then I really don't see why they would not be down to just basically make extra money at no cost of their own, especially when it's quite clear the majority of their community would be ecstatic for this. The only real reason that I could think of that would prevent Bethesda from doing remakes or remasters is the simple fact that maybe they'd feel it would take too much attention and hype away from their current release schedule. If Starfield releases at the same time as, say, an Oblivion or Morrowind remake, Bethesda might be worried that all the Elder Scrolls fans would be too excited and hyped for these remakes more so than they would be for Starfield. No doubt a huge chunk of the Bethesda community would pretty much set all the remakes down, specifically for Starfield because it's new content, but you can't deny a large percentage of die-hard Elder Scrolls veterans would be addicted to these new versions of Oblivion and Morrowind, so much so that they basically put Starfield on hold, especially because they don't know what to expect from those games and they would just rather watch it like on Twitch or wait for reviews from their favorite YouTubers. This would in turn no doubt harm early sales figures for Starfield, and that's definitely not something Bethesda Game Studios wants for the launch of their first new game franchise in over 25 years. They want those sale figures, especially the initial ones, to be way up there, and basically a remaster or a remake of previous games almost definitely take away from these sales figures, even if these remakes were like released later, because you gotta consider that Starfield, especially a space game, will probably have a lot of expansions and DLC added to it. They don't want to take away from those figures either. And while I could only really think of one actual reason for Bethesda to not go the route of actually doing these remakes or remasters, when you think about it, it's a pretty powerful reason. A large enough one to turn down Microsoft literally doing all the work and funding themselves. But the truth is, this is indeed a new age of Bethesda, and they've been making surprising moves and decisions lately, all starting with Fallout 76, their first full online game ever, and a game that they basically said they would never make, and now Starfield, their first new IP or franchise in basically forever. Then combine those facts with the Microsoft partnership that came out of literally nowhere, and all these factors combine to form a Bethesda that just might surprise us. A Bethesda that might make unpredictable decisions, and decisions that aren't necessarily bad, but just surprising and that go outside the usual norm for them. It seems like the Bethesda of old is gone, and not in a bad way. With Microsoft at their side, Bethesda is free to make bolder decisions and free to explore new territories. Territories like remasters and remakes, and I feel if these recent rumors are indeed true that Oblivion and Morrowind are prime candidates for the first games to be remastered or even remade from scratch from this new Bethesda studio. Remember though, this is all based on still unverified rumors, so don't get too excited. Well, there is indeed surrounding evidence that seems to support this rumor and indicate there is some truth to all this. It's still an unverified rumor and is just as likely to not be true as it is to be legit at this point. Either way, that's gonna finish up everything I wanted to talk about in today's video. If you'd like to see an Oblivion or a Morrowind remake or remaster, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, share this video as that's the best way to bring attention to this kind of stuff and to help build the channel, and as always, if you enjoy the content, be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on. Only 10% of subscribers have notifications on, so please head over to my channel page and turn the bell on, turn on notifications. It's a huge help for the channel. And if you think you're already subscribed, please check to make sure you still are, as YouTube has been unsubscribing people randomly according to recent comments. If you want to go above and beyond to support the channel and the community, you can support the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all this and more are down in the description below, and as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when maybe we'll find that gigantic skooma squirrel in space in Starfield. Only the OGs will get that reference, and you know I love you for it.
It just works.